So hi there, welcome to lesson 6 in module 7. So we are looking at, module 8, pardon me. We are looking at formatting dates and time instead. There are other formats that we did not look at. We just looked at the general one. And sometimes your client may want a certain kind of format when you are trying to clean the data or, present the data. So they may want a certain kind of format, and that's the whole goal about how we write this. So we're going to start by looking at those two things we looked at the beginning: the calendar, which we call the date, and then the timepiece, which we call the clock. We now know that there's a date function and there's a clock function, and they differ, differently. So that has been mentioned here. So now let's look at a couple of things. We'll need to understand those 6 basic measures of time. We have the day, or what I call parts of the date or the time, but there are 6 basic: the day, the month, the year, the hour, the minute, and the second. Critical, very critical for whatever you are doing. So the next thing is, this is how Stata recognizes them along these 3 lines. But each of these 6 components can be presented differently. So the particular date that you find in Stata here, and I'll just zoom in a while to it. This one that you see here, this is a Stata date. This one here is a Stata date. That one has all these 6 elements we have mentioned. This is 3rd of March 2010. This is 7 o'clock in the morning, and 7 minutes past 7 and 7 seconds. So these are the 6 elements being represented, but each element can be represented differently, and they have a syntax. If you remember what we called the date mask, where we had DMY, DYM, changing different formats, you can have them here too. So let's look at this. So the day has 2 types of formats here. You can put 2 capital D's. What the difference between the 2 capital D's and the small letter D's, or the lowercase d's, are the leading 0. If you want to have a leading 0, that's what, write 04 or 03 or 06 March 19 something. Then you use the capital D's, uppercase. But you just want to write the letter of the day of the month, just use smaller D's. The same thing for the month. You may want to write a 3-letter abbreviation for the month in proper case. So you write month in proper case. If you want the full month to show, that's January, which is longer, April, not a 3-letter abbreviation, then you just write month. Then for a lowercase spelling of the month, you just write your month in lowercase. Same thing with the full spelling of month, lowercase. And then if you want it to have a leading 0, you don't want to write the words that represent the month. So you want to write 03, you write NN. And you don't want a leading 0, you write NN without a leading, without a NN in small case or lowercase. So that's the pattern. Same thing for year. And you can write YY, or YY small letters. This may not be so useful because you don't have so much of a leading 0, except you have the year 2003, 2004, But you want to now write the full year. That's when you now write CC. That's the century, comes right in front. That's how it is written. Similarly for hours, this is what you find. And for minutes, same thing. So just note the difference. The caps mean there's a leading 0. The lower cases mean no leading 0. So that's the principle that works for all of them. So this same time that we have written here in Stata can be written in four different ways. Anyways, it really is not really four. You could even write it in maybe probably 15 different ways. This particular date written here. And what we are going to do is show with the do files how that is done. Okay, so we would import, that's what we did here, the file, we call it time difference. It only has one variable in it, and that's just how we can focus on that. So you look at what we did. We did the format. Remember what we always do for dates? Format, percentage. So each one, as we highlight it, it changes here. So you can check the changes with all the formats we just mentioned. And that's how basically it goes. Please don't forget that you have to do percentage, time, clock. Remember for clock. Remember the one for dates too. But what I did, I just did for a very long time. That is the one that has the time and the date together, so that we can just learn everything together. The variable is called special time. The format is right in front of it. It can be at the back. We have shown that also in when we're discussing the syntax. So you can go back to syntax and check. So it gives you different dates. So if you want the day fully spelt, you use the one currently being run now. This types out March, so you can have a look at it at every step of the way. You can produce all this. So you can screenshot, and please, like I've mentioned before, anywhere you see dates, play with them. There are a couple of them we're going to use in the practical session, and hopefully it will help the concept sink in well. So thank you so much for your time. I'll meet you in the practical session where we talk more on this.